AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Welcome in. After further review, Monday show presented by Relief Windows. Musso in for Moscona. Luke Foster, Paul O'Neill is back here today as well, and we're fired up to have you along for today's show. Jam-packed show here today. Sam Leavitt, first media availability, and he was awesome. I got a lot that I want to say about Sam Leavitt, and we'll let you hear a lot from LSU's quarterback here on today's show. Lane Kiffin obviously meeting with the media after practice as well. I mean, a plethora of Saints news. They practiced twice over the weekend, so Ross Jackson will be here with us in his normal spot to recap practice from the weekend. The Saints are off today, but they're also working out Terrion Arnold. Another ACL injury for the Saints, this one along the offensive line. I mean, we have so much to do here on this Monday show. So let's go ahead and get started as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
And with all of that going on, we start with Sam Leavitt. Why? Because, well, this is a moment that we've been waiting on for a very, very, very long time. Really, since Sam Leavitt announced he was coming to LSU. And Sam Leavitt didn't do really any media after his decision was made public that he was going to transfer to LSU. Obviously, he misses the majority of spring, really kind of all of it. He was able to do a couple little things early before the second procedure to have the pins out of the foot, but he misses all the spring, doesn't speak to the media then, obviously doesn't go through with SEC Media Days, has that brief interaction at the women's clinic that LSU hosted, but this was the first opportunity. And Sam Leavitt spoke with the assembled media right after Lane Kiffin's press conference. They kept everybody in the team room. Kiffin spoke for about 15 and a half minutes, and then they paraded in three players, leading off with Sam Leavitt to speak. He spoke for about 10 to 11 minutes, and they were able to cover so much ground with LSU starting quarterback. And, y'all, he was just really, really, really impressive. With all the different topics that Sam Leavitt covered today with the media over there at Football Ops, whether it was his health, which we're going to get to here momentarily, his transfer, that whole portal process with Lane Kiffin in the airport, the workout in Dallas with his teammates, like no matter what it was, you could just feel and sense how cerebral he is, the maturity that he possesses, and you tie all that in, and you can really start to see the leader that Sam Leavitt can be for this team. Very, very impressed. And like I said, we will get through a lot of it here throughout the next 3 hours. But we start with his health because that is the story here with Sam Leavitt, right? This is a guy who was awesome his first year starting at Arizona State with Cam Scatterboot. That team helped lead them to a college football playoff. Damn near won a game in the college football playoff as well. Okay? You go from that to expectation, draft, all of that going into last season. He has the Liz Frank injury, enters the transfer portal, shows up to LSU, recovers through spring, all of that. And now here we are. It tracks because with Lane Kiffin, we've obviously heard plenty of health updates from the head coach really over the last 2 months or so about Leavitt being full go, reaching 21 miles per hour when he's running, when they're tracking him and things of that nature. Like, you see the video of him dunking through the goalpost, all those things. We've had a lot of keys. What we haven't heard is Sam Leavitt himself give us an update on his health. Well, he did that today, and here was the update from QB1.
I'm 100% right now, and I've been 100% for the past few months. Just want to show a lot of love to Dallas and the whole staff, just constantly grinding, getting me back. And my health is one thing that I take very seriously, whether it's the food I eat, the way I sleep, the way I recover. So it was really never a question for me. You can ask everyone from everywhere I've been. That's kind of something that I prioritize in my life, I think on kind of an extreme level. So, yeah, I'm, ready to go.
So that's great. Says I'm 100% ready to go, have been for a few months, which again tracks with what Lane Kiffin has been telling you, right, for the last couple of months, and especially in the last weeks. I mean, it was a week ago, Lane Kiffin said if you were out there watching him, you probably wouldn't even know he ever had an injury, right? So that's great. But even in that answer, right, you get kind of a peek into Sam Leavitt and the cerebralness and the maturity that I was kind of referencing there at the top, where he says, it's something I take very seriously from the way that I eat, sleep, train. Like, you can ask anyone at anywhere I've been how much I prioritize my health. So what that does, just in a sense there, is it gives you great confidence that if he's telling you he's 100%, he's 100%. If Lane Kiffin's telling you that, he is. It's just nice to have that reinforcement. But for him to really kind of go into a little bit of detail there and tell you, I'm 100%, have been, and this is kind of why, because my priorities are here with the health, that takes it to a whole nother level. That if what you can see, and obviously I know not everybody's allowed that at practice, right? Hell, the media is only out there for 10, 12 minutes. But it's one thing to hear him say that, and that can inspire confidence. But when you really see it, when you see him out on the field against Clemson, that's where you're really going to get the full test of that. Now, the other interesting thing that he talked about with his health was the recovery. And again, this was a very, very revealing answer, kind of about Sam Leavitt and the way he thinks, but also kind of through the whole process, showing you just how meticulous and lengthy this was for Leavitt to get back to 100%.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely more challenging within the first, 4 or 5 months. I had a second surgery where I got the pins pulled, so I have no hardware in my foot right now. And initially after that, I thought it was kind of, just going to snap back into being full go. That's just how my brain works. But yeah, just going through the process and keeping my head down and putting in the work and understanding that, delayed gratification was a big thing for me. How much can I put in the work without seeing just immediate results? And then after, I kind of figured out something with the whole medical staff on was kind of limiting some of my foot coming back after that surgery. It kind of just like popped from there. And, it's just been incredible. I really don't think about it out on the field at all. Just have to obviously warm it up a little bit before practice, but just keeping on my routine and everything at night, it's really zero thought process for me.
I love that answer so much. From the detail of going through the early surgery to the part about delayed gratification, again, maturity. Isn't that? I got the pins removed from my foot. Thought after that, I'd snap back into the player that I just would. Said it's how his brain works. Obviously, that's never realistic. So then you get a guy who is mature enough and self-aware enough to say, all right, delayed gratification, that's what I have to deal with. How much can I put in without seeing the results? How can I stay the course with that? To where now, he says he doesn't even think about it. Just stays on his routine. It's not even a thought. He can go out there and be himself on the field. One thing that's going to be extremely interesting is how much they allow Sam Leavitt to do early. Obviously, you want to test that foot. You want to test the injury, but there's also a conditioning piece to this for Sam Leavitt too. He had summer, he's 100% for summer and got to go through summer conditioning, but you miss that ramp up in spring. Now you're into fall camp. How much does that potentially play a role early in the season for Leavitt when he's out there QB1 for LSU? We've talked about it often here is like, man, the way I look at it is you get Sam Leavitt out there first half of the year and you ease him in. You ease him in. You do the things that are his strengths. Play action, the deep ball accuracy. You do those types of things that he has excelled at no matter where he's been. Let him lead you to wins there while mixing in run, the dynamics that he can bring, extending plays, all of that we've all talked about. Getting comfortable, and then by the second half of the season, can he flip a switch? You're in a position now to play well in November, and with everything in front of you, hopefully in November, can he flip the switch and really become the quarterback that we're all hoping to see? But I do think it's obviously going to be a process. But you heard how good Sam Leavitt's telling you that he feels himself. Lane Kiffin, of course, was also asked today as well about Leavitt, but more in the sense of, all right, coach, he's been out there for a full week in fall camp now. What do you think?
Sam's had a great week, had a great practice today, taking care of the ball, really throwing the ball really accurate and on time, and extremely pleased with his week and how he looks. You know, we have high standards how we want things and what we want them to look like, you know, and probably unrealistic what I was expecting him to look like when he can't move and he's just throwing without really having his weight to be able to push into. So now that he's healthy, he's had a great week. We're really excited about him.
When you listen to that cut and one of the ones we played earlier from Sam Leavitt, they intertwine so much. And it's really one of those things that makes you look at this and go, this is going to be a really good fit. What did Kiffin say there? The standard that we have of how the quarterback performs. And by the way, listening to Sam Leavitt, he has that same standard for himself. But Lane Kiffin even says, you know, it probably didn't look like what I expected it to look like even when he can't move. Probably overshot that, right? Probably had too high of expectations. Sam Leavitt, the earlier cut, what did he say? When I got the pins out, I thought I'd just snap back into the player that I was. Delayed gratification for both Lane Kiffin, for Sam Leavitt. You watch him putting the work in, you're not getting anything out. Now is the time to get out, get the work out. Now's the time to get out the gratification from the work that you put in. Head coach seems very happy with where it's going. Sam Leavitt himself does as well. And I'll tell you the other thing in that Kiffin bite, the accuracy, the protecting of the football, going with it where it needs to go. That's a big thing for Sam Leavitt. Take what the defense gives you, and then, yeah, your shot plays are going to be there, and you're really good at those. But for him to be having the accuracy, especially on the more of the underneath stuff, that is a sign of growth already from Sam Leavitt in this Lane Kiffin offense. It's a friendly offense for quarterbacks, and so far he seems to be fitting into it very, very well. And the health and the maturity and the cerebralness of him is going to help out an awful lot with that as they continue to go through fall camp and obviously into the season. We'll have plenty more from Sam Leavitt and from Lane Kiffin as we go. I just very much enjoyed listening to Sam Leavitt speak today and want to share as much of it with you as we can here, obviously, on a Monday edition of AFR. So Musso in for Moscona. We'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. The Saints are working out Terrion Arnold at cornerback, or I should say they're hosting him on a visit. I have some thoughts, and you have to come at this from two different angles. We'll do that next here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Yes, hormone replacement therapy. Yes, NAD+. Yes, BPC 157. Yes, ED treatment. The bottom line is, gentlemen, I don't care how old you are. It's about how old you feel, and do you want to feel like you did when you were younger? Do you want to live a more vital life? Do you want to live a more energetic life where you wake up in the morning, your feet hit the floor, and you're rip-roaring ready to go, where you're motivated to get in the gym, where you have a great libido, where you have great mindset, energy, mental clarity, memory, all that sort of stuff? It's possible. It's affordable. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help you do it. Hormone replacement therapy could be a giant part of that for you. NAD Plus can literally help your cellular optimization to make you younger at a cellular level. BPC 157, tremendous in helping in recovery. Learn more. yourgoodwood.com. Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, I mean, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first two floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. WilliamsonEye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
Back here after further review, Monday show presented by Relief Windows. Musso in for Moscona. Scone still on the mend. Said he needed another day. Said no problem. Got you. Come in. Do the show Monday. Sounds like Scone may be back tomorrow. Don't quote me on that. But given our conversations earlier today, it kind of sounds like what it's trending with. But obviously, we just continue to wish him a healthy, good recovery there. And when he's back, he's back. So fired up to be here with y'all for the next 3 hours or so. And again, as I said, man, we got a jam-packed show. Still got to get to Drew Brees. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame over this weekend. Gave an awesome speech. So I have a few thoughts about that we'll get to here a little bit later on in the hour and plenty more. We are basically LSU football and Saints all day here, as it should be on August the 10th, man, with both teams now fully into camp and stories coming out left and right from both programs as they make their way up to the opening of the regular seasons. One of those stories today for New Orleans involves a certain cornerback in the NFL. Terrion Arnold, former Lions cornerback, former first-round pick. The Saints are hosting him here while they have a day off. Now, unfortunately for Terrion Arnold, this story doesn't start with him getting an opportunity with the New Orleans Saints or even past opportunities that he's had already this offseason since being released. This story has to start with why Terrion Arnold was released. And I'm sure many of you are very familiar with that saga by now. But if you're not, the Cliff Notes version. So Terrion Arnold, over the offseason, this was even earlier in the offseason, was arrested. The arrest took place in July, was arrested, and faces now 8 felony counts stemming across armed robbery and kidnapping. So basically, off-season party at an Airbnb that he had rented. Some things were stolen from the party, or came up missing, I should say. It is alleged that Terrion Arnold and some of his, call them associates, rounded up the 3 people they deemed responsible, brought them to an appointment, jumped them, kidnapped them, beat them, held them at gunpoint, demanding the stuff back. Now, Terrion Arnold, according to police, was not present in the apartment while this was happening, but was the primary conspirator and ringleader and was outside the apartment watching on a live stream that was set up inside the apartment. That is what is alleged. And because he is alleged to be the conspirator for this and the ringleader, he faces 8 counts, which, if convicted on all 8 counts, could land him life in prison. Okay, that's where the story has to start, because that's why he's available in the first place. Now, there's 2 ways to look at this, and we're going to look at both of them. Number 1 is why the Saints are even pursuing this, why it makes sense for them to make this move. And 2 is how you, me, and anyone else actually feels about the Saints doing this. Let's start with what they're looking at. Well, what they're looking at right now is a guy who is embroiled in major, like life in prison, potentially, major legal issues. But if acquitted, is a former first-round pick at cornerback, a position that you are thin at. Quincy Riley, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Those are your 2 guys. And Kellen Moore can talk all he wants about being very impressed with the confidence that Kool-Aid McKinstry is playing with, very impressed with how his camp is going, all of those things. You can do that. But we also understand that you are thin at that position. And you don't have a proven number 1 cornerback on your team yet. You don't. Could Kool-Aid McKinstry go out, be that guy for you this year, really, really take a huge jump? Yes, I think that'd be great. I would love for that to happen, as a matter of fact. You added Martin Emerson Jr., obviously, in the offseason, but he's coming off of injury. You've been relatively quiet. So you see a guy like Terrion Arnold, you say, okay, yes. Former first-round draft pick, had a really good rookie year with the Lions. Former college teammate of Kool-Aid McKinstry, actually, at Alabama. So you even have that connection there, too. And a guy who, if he's acquitted, could serve as a potential difference maker for you on your team, whether it be depth or emerging as a starter and going forward. That's why they're doing it. That part makes sense. Now, the part of how anyone may feel about this, I would not touch Terrion Arnold with a 10-foot pole. There's no chance I would even explore this. Musso, what if he's acquitted? You just talked about all that. Yeah, that's great. If he is, good for him. There will be a team waiting and ready to sign him. That's the other part of this. A signing is not imminent. Okay? He's visited the Seahawks, the Texans. He's also been linked not just with the Saints, but with the New York Jets. Among other, the Colts have been in there as well, among others. No signing is imminent because you're not going to sign a guy when he faces life in prison. But it's just that, right? He'll have his day in court. Arraignment is actually on Thursday, August 13th. So he'll be back in court for that, and he'll have his day, and they'll go through a trial in the process, and a verdict will be handed down. But for me, and this is me, this is my opinion as to why I wouldn't even consider this, regardless of what the outcome of the trial could be, is Terrion Arnold is a guy who put himself in this position with who he's associating with. Like, how is that guy close enough to a situation like this that could land him in prison for the rest of his life? How is he even close enough to that? And because he is, that raises major character concerns to me, major cultural concerns to me in a locker room, to where there's no chance. There's no chance. Guilty or not guilty. Because clearly that guy has a lot to learn, a lot of maturing to do before he's ever ready, in my opinion, to be back in the NFL. You look at the Saints, and you have finally gotten that culture back to where you wanted under Kellen Moore in the locker room. Adding a guy like Terrion Arnold, again, guilty or not guilty, whenever that comes down, the verdict, and again, he'll have his day. Those are just major red flags. None bigger than, how are you even allowing yourself to be this close to a situation that, again, could land you in prison for the rest of your life? So while I look at this from an objective standpoint and go, yeah, why they're doing it, given the makeup of their team, that makes sense and I can understand it, I just have no interest in that ever. And you know what? If he's acquitted and the Saints go through with this and he comes and becomes a great player, good. That's awesome for the organization. But it is likely that if he's found guilty of even a part of this, his career in the NFL is over. So it's not imminent. And I understand why they're doing it. For me, that's just, that's a hard pass for me. I'm actually surprised that he's gotten this much interest. And again, that tells you the type of player that Terrion Arnold is and can be. Former first-round pick, suffered a shoulder injury a year ago, but was making that year two jump before the shoulder injury landed him on IR, season-ending IR, and surgery that ended his season. But life in prison, potentially, that's very interesting. So, no, not something that I would actually be in favor of the Saints doing, because, again, just given the fact that he's in this situation and they have enough evidence. Like, the police have a group chat of him with the co-conspirators to where they can even allege that he's the main conspirator and the ringleader of this. That's giant red flags. But you do your due diligence. And that's what the Saints are doing. But for me, I'm good. Like, I'll pass on that, and draft will come around, and maybe you address cornerback there going forward and things of that nature. So that's my piece on it. We'll see, obviously, how that goes. We'll obviously get Ross Jackson's take on that as well when he's here with us, to start hour number 3. That'll be woven into, obviously, the camp updates from over the weekend. So stick around for that here as we continue on AFR. Monday show presented by Relief Windows. Musso in for Moscona. Fired up to be here with everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll go around the SEC, and there is another update on the Protect College Sports Act. I don't have a lot of thoughts on that right now, but we'll obviously pass along the very latest as we've continued to do. That certainly looks like it is stalled now, and really the real question is, can it ever get out of neutral once again? But we'll talk about that a little bit next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge. Love telling you about our friends at River Parish Contractors. Do amazing work and have for years. At River Parish Contractors, execution is more than just completing the project. It's delivering safe, predictable results through experienced leadership, skilled craftsmanship, disciplined project management. Today, River Parish Contractors is a full-service industrial construction company with more than 500 employees, dedicated estimating, project management, safety, quality organizations, and a 32,000 square foot automated pipe and structural steel fabrication facility. It's incredible. Their capabilities for maintenance, turnarounds, capital projects, civil construction, pipe fabrication, structural steel fabrication. They do it all. They do it better than anyone. It's River Parish Contractors. rpcontractors.com. rpcontractors.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
All right, welcome back in AFR here on a Monday, presented by Relief Windows. Musso in for Moscona. We'll go around the SEC here in a second. But we do have an update on the Protect College Sports Act. So, quick catch up here. You'll remember this was 2 weeks ago that there was like the deadline on Friday. Congress had sent out the amended bill for the Big Ten and the SEC to go through again and voice their support or not. And it looked like before we left here 2 weeks ago on a Friday, it looked like the bill was dead. And then late Friday evening, the Big Ten and the SEC threw their support behind it, kind of bringing it back from the dead. Last week, we went through all the process of, could they get a vote in time? Remember, they had to, they started the process on Wednesday. It's like, okay, the earliest they're going to be able to vote on this is Saturday, but here comes the month-long recess. Their break up there in the legislature. Would they stay on Saturday to actually vote on this? And the answer to that was no. The Protect College Sports Act did not make vote before the U.S. Senate adjourned for a 5-week August recess. They'll be back on September the 14th. And that has people looking at this going, bill kind of feels dead again. Because now there's 5 weeks where it's just going to be under the microscope even more. The bill's supporters are worried about that. And it even has Plan A was the bill. It has now Plan B and Plan C coming a little bit more into the forefront. And just to just to give you a bit of a kind of a peek at why there could be trouble for this bill while they're off for 5 weeks, because it was already starting. And look, Matt will sit here and tell you he doesn't do politics. I really don't. I don't watch the news like that. I don't even foray into that. Like, it's just not. This is not my arena. It never has been. It never will be. I am one of the. You could ask me about current events in like the actual country. I'm not going to know them, which is really odd because I actually love history, and I just don't. I think it's all gross and disgusting, so I don't care. Like the way everything's run, it is completely blocked out of my mind. So I'm probably just going to sit here and read from Ross Sellinger's article because he knows way more about this than I do. But to give you an kind of an explanation on what kind of issues this faces now, with a 5-week recess, is just last week when the bill was inching towards the vote, you had the Congressional Black Caucus slam the bill on Thursday in a statement. More than a dozen Republican senators filed objections or amendments to the legislation. You had labor unions get involved as well. Now you have 5 more weeks of that before the Senate returns on September the 14th. So is Plan B or Plan C really possible? Well, Plan B, as Tony Petitti mentioned at Big Ten Media Days, would involve changing the athlete revenue share structure system within the House settlement. That would deal with federal injunctions, things of that nature, make changes to the settlement lawsuit with the parties involved in the suit, the power leagues, the Pac-12 out there because they're back with all their state schools, and the NCAA, and you must agree. Okay, so, well, if that doesn't happen, Plan C is your self-governance. Now, while I'm going to sit here and tell you that I don't think that I don't think the SEC, the Big Ten, and all that, they're not going to break away here in the next 5 weeks. At least I don't believe that. Is it impossible? I guess not. But I don't believe that that's going to happen here in the next 5 weeks. But that's your other option right now. That's really what comes into the forefront is Plan B, where you make changes to the House revenue share, the House settlement, I should say, with the rev share, and try to kind of increase retention pools, salary cap, those types of things. But you're going to run into labor unions there as well, like you did even with the Protect College Sports Act. Or do you just say, screw it. Let's go do our own thing, which many believe is going to happen anyway. Does this not reaching the Senate floor, the full vote before recess, bring that more into the forefront? It possibly could. But I still think we're further away from that than that is imminent. Let's put it that way. It was a long shot for it to get to the vote last week. Ultimately, it didn't. Now you got 5 more weeks to pick this thing apart. It's not going anywhere, but it is on life support for a second time in 3 weeks. Odds don't feel good for the Protect College Sports Act as of this moment. It's the closest we've gotten to legislation, but now it feels like it's really stalled out. It might have stalled out potentially for the last time. We'll keep you updated, obviously, on that as we continue to go through this week and obviously the next 5 weeks that the Senate is on recess. All right, we have to go around the SEC, but first, a message from Matt about Rouse's.
Summer is here, which means beach vacations, barbecues, backyard pool days, whatever you got going on. Make sure you celebrate with our friends at Rouse's, no matter what you're looking for. Meat or fish to throw on the grill. Maybe you want some cold drinks for the adults or the kids. Chips and dips and all the servings and sides. Rouse's is your spot with 76 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach and points in between. You're never far from a Rouse's location. And one of the things I love most is Rouse's always does their best to make sure they source local products. You want local Louisiana products and ingredients, you'll get them at Rouse's. Whether you're making groceries, a quick stop to pick up something for dinner, or a day at the pool, make sure you make Rouse's part of your summer every day. Find the Rouse's nearest you. You can shop the weekly ads online at rouses.com, rouses.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Thank you, Scone. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Rough news for Josh Heupel and the Vols. Sophomore linebacker Jaden Harmon will miss the 2026 season with a torn ACL. Sources with direct knowledge of the situation told VolQuest that over the weekend. He injured the knee in practice on Saturday. The further testing obviously revealed the torn ACL. Played in all 13 games as a true freshman. Mainstay on special teams. Also had half a sack and a TFL and one pass breakup as well. It's just another hit to the Tennessee linebacker room. So you'll remember fellow linebacker Arion Carter is suspended for the first 2 games because he took a flight from an agent to a NFL workout of the combine or something like that.
The Florida Gators.
John Summerall provided some injury updates on the Gators when he met with the media here on Monday. Defensive end Cameron James, running back Duke Clark, receiver Marquez Daniel, cornerback CJ Barrow, safety Caden Hall, and tight end Jalen Jordan. Those are all soft tissue injuries, according to Summerall. Normal training camp boo-boos. That's an exact quote from John Summerall. Normal training camp boo-boos. None of those are expected to be really severe or long-term threats to the Gators. Receiver Dallas Wilson, though, of course, projected starter. Remember, he was injured last season for the majority of his freshman year. And again, here in the spring, was spotted working indoors at Friday's practice and is fine, according to Summerall here from the update Monday. It's going, of course, to the plan all along for him to kind of be limited after 2 high yardage days. So it looks like Dallas Wilson will be set to be a full go for Florida when they open up the season.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss is going to honor Archie Manning with a statue on campus. Just the latest honor for Archie. Obviously, he was the first player in Ole Miss history to have his number retired, as well as the 18-mile-per-hour speed limit on campus up there. The statue will be placed between the south side of Vaught Hemingway and north of the Olivia and Archie Manning Athletics Performance Center. Of course, 2-time All-SEC, All-American, finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy back in 1970, all before becoming a second overall pick in the NFL draft and playing 11 seasons with the New Orleans Saints. New honor for Archie Manning.
The Auburn Tigers.
And Auburn has started their 2028 recruiting class. They landed their top quarterback target, Sam Soley. He's out of Gadsden, Alabama. Chose the Tigers over the Crimson Tide. Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi State, and other 6'3", 190-pounder. A 3-star first commit for Auburn in the class of 2028. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. This is after further review here on a Monday. Scone in for Moose. Scone continues to recover. He did one more day set. So hopefully we'll get Scone back in the chair with all of you here on Tuesday, locked and ready to roll. But until then, I'll carry you home here the rest of the day. We'll grab a break, come back, close out hour number 1 of the show with some thoughts on Drew Brees. Greatest player in Saints history, took his rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame on Saturday, and man, it was awesome. We'll give you some thoughts on that when we wrap up the first hour next here on AFR.
After further review.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-001-752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but like none of it, like I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, like they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001. Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You know, when we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding. And now shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number one product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with Relief Windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes $1 from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at ReliefWindows.com.
Over the weekend, of course, Drew Brees took his rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. It was an awesome speech from number 9. It was awesome to see him and Sean Payton back together, again, sitting next to each other throughout the whole thing. Obviously, with unveiling the Drew Brees bust, which we got to talk about Drew Brees' bust, man. Who's that guy? I didn't look anything like Drew. That was awful. Luke Kuechly probably had the best bust of anybody out there. Drew's was. We got to do better. We got to do better than that. Pro Football Hall of Fame for Drew Brees. But anyway, it was awesome to see those two obviously out there and to hear them speak about each other. Not that we haven't heard that before, but in that setting to really show the gratitude and the appreciation for one another, like they were able to do when Sean Payton introduced Drew Brees and with Drew Brees throughout his speech. It was the best speech of the entire event, and there were some really good ones. It was emotional, it was fiery, and no better quote out of it probably demonstrates that more than this one.
New Orleans, you accepted me, you embraced me, you believed in me, but more importantly, you trusted me with the soul of the city. And I would have died to protect that calling.
That's obviously gotten a lot of run, and I guess some people poke fun at it a little bit, but those people don't get it, right? That's Drew Brees in that moment. I believe him. You believe that? I don't think that was for show. The rest of the emotion in his speech, where there were tears, talking about the city of New Orleans and what it meant to be part of the rebuild and the rebirth and all of that, I believe that 100% from him. And just knowing the competitor and how he shoulders things makes a lot of sense. And it encapsulated the entirety of his career in New Orleans so well, just in that one sentence. Another thing that I found extremely interesting from him is he talked about when he was with the Chargers and a meeting that he had after a tough game with Marty Schottenheimer and Cam Cameron, and how it was in that meeting that he learned to stop making excuses. They were watching the tape. He was coming off a tough game, and they paused the tape and asked him why this receiver was wide open. Why didn't you throw it to him? And Drew had said, "Well, I couldn't see him. I didn't see him." And he got this whole spiel from them about, it's your job to see him. And Drew Brees said, without that meeting, without that film session, I'm probably not a Hall of Famer right now. That's what's so cool about this, right? Is we remember Drew Brees with the Saints and will forever. And it's why we talked Friday when I was in here about the sense of finality that this gives you too, and not in a bad way. It's just this is the last milestone he could reach in a Saints uniform, and this is the official end now of kind of the Drew Brees era. All we have are the memories. But the player that he was in New Orleans was shaped by a meeting with the Chargers. You get the whole career from these guys in these types of settings, and that's really awesome to see. And the other thing was, man, look, there were other guys going into the Hall of Fame, but watching that on Saturday, that felt like a 2-hour celebration of Drew Brees. Why? Because of the massive turnout from the Who Dat Nation up in Canton. They were the loudest. Drew Brees was mentioned multiple times, and every time he was, there was a raucous ovation, whether it was from his fellow inductees or even Chris Berman. Chris Berman signed off on the broadcast with Who Dat. It was a 2-hour celebration of Drew Brees. It was awesome to see the Saints fans that showed out, and deservedly so, and it was awesome to hear Drew Brees talk about his career and take his rightful place in the Hall of Fame. Hour 2 is next.
After further review.
We're running about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. Hey, remember, always encourage you to go to the website, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. If you're a farmer, no doubt you know about First South Farm Credit because they've been helping farmers buy agriculture land for more than 100 years. But if it's maybe it's that hunting property. Maybe it's just your recreational property in Mississippi. Maybe you want to go buy a ranch in Montana. They can help you buy land anywhere in the lower 48. Buying land is different than buying a home. You know that. So trust the people who have helped Louisianans buy land for more than 100 years. First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. One more time, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit.